Hello chaps, I thought I'd do a get ready with me chatty thing today because it's my channel and I can, so there. If you see me looking that way instead of that way, it's because my mirror is there and you are there. So I'm not being rude and I'm not ignoring you, I'm just doing the two things at once. My face is already primed. I am still using the Nivea for Men Aftershave Balm as my primer. I have seen a few things on Tinterweb about, oh, you shouldn't use it because it's bad, it does this, it does that, whatever. I've had no problems with it. I've had no breakouts, I've had no patchiness, no flare-ups of anything skin related, so I'm going to carry on using it. It works for me very nicely, thank you. So, the first thing I am going to do is remove my subtle and understated Anubis ring. He's rather fabulous, isn't he? I catch him on everything, but I like him, so I don't care. It's just an everyday look today, just what I wear every day. My usual sort of getting up, going to work and going out type routine. It is the last day of the school term for many people in the UK. Oops. And my dance school has a set of exams this afternoon. But unusually, I'm not dancing with any of the kids and I'm not having to go in with any of the groups this time. So I can be me rather than me as dance teacher. So that means I can do my usual makeup. I've still got my earrings in, my hair doesn't have to go up, I've still got my jewellery on, my nail varnish on. Makes pleasant change. I've got one more set of classes tomorrow. And then that's it. I have 6 weeks with no teaching. Now, I don't know what it is about teenagers. They seem to think that there's this strange telepathic link that if I tell them something, it automatically gets transmitted some magical way to their parents. No. I've had I don't know how many text messages this week from parents saying, what are they taking? How much is the exam? What time are they in? What do they have to wear? I told them this weeks ago. Have they bothered to pass it on? No. The little ones will go out of the room, go straight up to mum, oh, we're doing this exam and we've got to wear this and I need one of those, and they're great, the little ones. But the older ones? Nope. Oh, I forgot. I don't remember being like that when I was a teenager. I dare say I probably was, but I don't actually remember it. It's crazy. So I don't have a restful summer planned. I don't do having a nice rest. Unless it's forced upon me somehow, I don't actually do having a nice rest. I find it an utter waste of time. I'm going to be working in a different GP surgery 4 afternoons a week. I am swapping my dancing hours for more admin hours. Basically doing at this new surgery exactly what I would normally be doing on the admin days on my current surgery, just somewhere else. Multiple reasons for this. The first one is obviously it's going to help me out financially. You know, the dance school stops, but that doesn't mean the bills suddenly don't need to be paid or that my car suddenly doesn't need petrol. So, you know, it's helpful to have something else to help cover those everyday costs. Secondly, it will stop me going absolutely mad with boredom, you can pretty much guarantee that the first day of my 6 weeks having the afternoons to myself, hubby will get a job that requires him to be working 5 days a week for the next 6 weeks. That's generally what happens. And if he's working somewhere like Pinewood or Leavesden, even Shepperton to a degree, by the time he's wrapped and he's driven home, he basically gets home in time to give me a swift kiss, go to bed, only to get up at silly o'clock in the morning and go back up there and do it all again. So it's pointless. That's why the van is set up as a stealth camper, so that he can go up wherever it is he's filming and stay there. Of course, it saves on the petrol, saves him an inordinate amount of time backwards and forwards on the good old M25. And it means that he gets an extra few hours sleep. But it also, of course, means that then I have a lot more time to myself. Now, I'm not unhappy in my own company, but apart from the fact that he's my husband, he's my best pal, he's my best mate, and I miss him when he's not here. We can be in two completely different parts of the house doing things completely separately, but he's here. We're still sort of, you know, together in the same space. He'll bring me up a cup of tea, or I'll go down and say, do you want a cup of tea? Make him a cup of tea. We have that connection, which is lovely. And when he's not here, I do miss that. So having these hours in the afternoon will reduce my time, oh solo mio. And the other thing is that it will help me with my time management, which sounds a bit peculiar. I'm a bit of an odd one, and I think I've mentioned this before. If you give me 3 hours to get ready, it will take me 3.5. Whereas if you give me half an hour to get ready, it will take me 25 minutes. I've always been like that, and I have no idea why. You put me under pressure and I will be on it, bang. You give me all the time in the world and it will take me all the time in the world and then some. So, the end of dancing for me means the beginning of the summer living history season. I'm very excited. There are things that I would like to get done before we go to Loxwood, which is 2 weeks' time. I would like a new posh totty frock, and there are a couple of bits for actually round the camp that I want to get done. I've had a year, pretty much, to do this. Our last camp last year was Husband Sew at the end of August. I've had since then, to make my new posh totty frock, I've had the fabric since. Before then, have I done it yet? No. Admittedly, the couple of items for around the camp is, you know, things that ideas that I've only had within the last couple of weeks. But knowing that I'm going to Loxwood in 2 weeks' time and I'm not going to have a lot of time to get these things done, they will get done. If I was going to be off in the afternoons, I'd be thinking to myself, oh, that's all right, I've got ages, I'll do it tomorrow. And And it would get to the day before Lockswood and I'd be packing up and I'd realise that, you know, I still don't have my posh totty frock. And I still don't have that extra thing that I wanted for round camp. However, now that I'm going to be working in the afternoons, those 4 days, it will only give me the evenings and the weekends to get things done. Oh, no, that's not right. See, making mistakes because I'm chatting to you guys, but hey-ho. Because I've only got evenings and weekends to get these projects done, they will get done. I will pull my finger out and actually get them done, rather than thinking, oh, I've got ages, I'll do that tomorrow. Now, before we even get to Lockswood, we have a ball to go to. It's very exciting, actually. Rather excited, going to a ball. I don't have a ball gown, nor do I have any intention of purchasing a ball gown, can't speak, that I will only ever wear once. So I am going to piece together my outfit from items that I already own. I have bought one new thing as part of the outfit, only the one. And it didn't actually cost me anything because I got some Amazon vouchers for my birthday. So I spent them on this new thing. I will do a separate video on that outfit and post that later on. However, one of the items needs to be altered. And it's kind of part way there. I got halfway through the process and then my sewing machine ran out of bobbin. So instead of refilling the bobbin and carrying on, I thought, oh, it's all right. I've got plenty of time. I'll do it some other time. It's next weekend. I have 7 days. Do you see what I mean? I'm useless, absolutely useless. Not going right today. See, chatting to you lot, messing up my makeup. So I'm going to all this effort to get my face on. Quite how long this will last is anybody's guess. Because at the moment, the UK is going through its hottest, longest summer since 1976. And given that my face is made of things which melt, it might not last. I have a Goth Summer survival guide. Please do go and check it out if you are suffering at the moment. I will leave a link in the description box below. I have had to have words with some of my mums at dancing. Not some, one, actually, to be fair. Just one. It has been ridiculously humid. I mean, just horrible. Week and a half ago or so, it was 32 degrees Celsius. Don't ask me Fahrenheit, I have no idea. It was 32 degrees over here in the UK, which is pretty hot for us. And but it was dry. It was very dry heat, so it didn't feel so bad. Nevertheless, it was still very hot. It's not quite that hot at the moment, but the humidity has gone up to, like, I don't know, gazillion percent. It just feels really horrible, and it's very draining when it's this humid and sticky and yuck. So I have been sending out text messages to the parents saying, please send your child with a sugary drink and a salty snack. And the mantra has been eat, drink, dance, repeat. Because it has just been so ridiculously hot. When you sweat, you lose salt, you lose sugar, and you have to replace them. I've said all of this before. Dehydration and heat stroke is not just losing water, it's losing the electrolytes. That's why you feel sick and headachy, because the electrolytes. So, messages have gone out. And almost all of them have, come back, yes, that's fine. And the kids have turned up with, a Ribena and a packet of crisps or something like that. Fine. Except one who sent her child with a bottle of water. This child was coming in to do 3/4 an hour of freestyle and 3/4 an hour of tap. She's got an exam coming up tomorrow. So it wasn't going to be an easy stand around and think about dancing class. She was going to be going full tilt for that hour and a half. She turns up with water. So I said, oh, did you not get my message? Did it not come through to you? Oh, yes, she says. But I don't want my child eating and drinking junk. Well, no. Neither do I. But there's a reason why I've sent that message. I'm not sending it to, coerce you into feeding your child junk food. I'm trying to look after said child. I've already had an incident with one child who passed out practically 2 Saturdays in a row. Middle of the class, stand there, goes all woozy, and almost hits the deck had I not got over there in time to catch her before she goes. I have been doing this quite a long time. I do actually know what I'm talking about. So I was a bit naughty, and I just snuck her some sugary drink and some salty snacks in the class. There have in the past been a couple of comments about how do I manage to stay so slim when I'm always drinking full fat Pepsi and I'm eating a packet of wheat crunchies. Because I'm dancing full tilt for 4 or 5 hours a day. That's how. I need to replace the sugar. I need to replace the salt. Even in winter, I'm still going to get hot, because I'm working. This summer, however, has been somewhat exceptional. And I apologise in advance if this gets a little bit gross. I accept that I'm going to get hot and sweaty. You do. Because I'm dancing. And it is hot. And it is humid. So, t-shirt sticking to my back. trousers sticking to my bum, you know, that's kind of par for the course, unfortunately. But what I don't generally tend to do is perspire on my face. Maybe it's the amount of makeup I slather on blocks all the sweat ducts up, I don't know. But I don't generally show hot on my face. You know, I'll have a wet patch on the back of my t-shirt or something like that, but I don't generally perspire. I have been perspiring on my face. It is most undignified. I have been extremely thankful for my cooling spray. The number of cans I've gone through of that stuff since the summer began. I've got one in my handbag. I've got one in practically every room in the house. I've got one in the car. Get in the car, turn the fan on, spray it all over the place, leave it for a couple of minutes before I get in. It's just been mental. It has just been mental. Now, I dare say there may be some of you who live in considerably warmer climes than the UK thinking, my goodness, you're such a wuss. Well, yes, you're quite right. I am such a wuss. Heat I can cope with, just about, but it's the humidity. And, you know, I live in a Victorian terrace house. We don't have air conditioning in our house. And to be honest, most of the time, the climate is such that we don't actually need air conditioning. I don't tend to use the air conditioning in the car because it just drinks petrol and saps the power out of the engine completely. So I don't generally bother. I just open the windows and use my cooling spray and get a bit of cool that way. So those of you who are in Florida or, you know, Texas or somewhere like that, who are thinking that I've got no clue what heat is, well, you're right. You're right, but, you know, this is UK goth problems, okay? You may remember my Living with Lymphedema video, Life After Cancer video, and I explained some problems that I'd had as a result of a poorly fitting surgical stocking, and that necessitated me going into, well, it ended up being 2 weeks of high compression bandaging. Well, I still haven't managed to get the stockings right. The off-the-shelf stockings are basically too long for my leg. And as a result of that, they crease up behind my knee and they crease up around the front of my ankle, thereby cutting off the flow of lymph back up the leg. So having tried every which way but sideways with off-the-shelf surgical stockings, it was decided that my only option was made to measure. Now, a pair of off-the-shelf surgical stockings are 90 quid each. One made to measure stocking is £150. So this is all coming out of the NHS budget. I don't have to pay for my prescriptions, and even if I did, my prescription would only be what I think is 8 or 9 quid at the moment, whereas these stockings are £150 each, so they have to be right. Now, the off-the-shelf stockings that I was wearing were almost perfect, And all I needed was for the stocking to be 1/2 inch shorter in the foot, 1 inch shorter in the lower leg, and 1 inch shorter in the upper leg. If they were just that little bit shorter, they'd have been perfect. Unfortunately, you can't just say to the manufacturer, take that stocking and make it, you know, smaller by that, and that, there, and there. No, you have to go through a whole process of things, measurements, which took about 1.5 hours, in order to get the made to measure done. Now, knowing that the off-the-shelf one was almost right, where possible, we used the measurements provided by the manufacturer for the off-the-shelf stocking. There were a couple of additional ones which we actually had to measure, but for the most part we used their own measurements. So 10 days later, I get my made to measure stocking, and it's wrong. Well, I didn't realise it was wrong until I'd worn it for a couple of days, by which time, unfortunately, it was too late. If you knit, you'll understand exactly what I'm about to say. When you're knitting, if you have a very sharp decrease in the number of stitches from one row to the next, you get this kind of wavy thing going on in the fabric. And that's exactly what had happened at the bottom of the leg going into the foot on my made to measure stocking. The ankle of the stocking, made to measure stocking, was the same size as the ankle on the off the shelf, but the foot was that much bigger, and I confess I didn't really look. I didn't really notice it until I suppose it was the 3rd day of wearing it, and I realised that my foot was massively swollen and my ankle was very skinny. Well, the skinny ankle is fine, but my foot being massively swollen was not. And it was then when I actually took the stocking off, I realised that I had this kind of wavy pleating thing going on. And I couldn't quite understand why I had this wavy pleaty thing going on when we'd used the majority of the measurements from the off-the-shelf stocking to make the made-to-measure one. There was a good centimetres difference in the diameter of the made-to-measure from the off-the-shelf, a centimetre bigger in diameter, which you can imagine is going to have quite an effect on the actual circumference. The result of which was that my foot swelled up to fill that space, and then because the ankle was the right size, i.e. very tight, I ended up with this big bulging foot going into a tiny little ankle. Unsightly, definitely, uncomfortable, oh yes, and of course, because this is what happens in lymphedema, my foot has conformed to the shape of the stocking and is stuck there. So I've stopped wearing that stocking, obviously, and have gone back to some old made to measures that will do. Some old off the shelf ones that will do. But of course, now the stockings are conforming to the shape of the foot, which conform to the shape of the stocking, which now means that I have a nice slim ankle with a great big foot. I have been back to my lovely girls at the Marsden, and we have once again thought all round and sideways. I'm going to try a different off-the-shelf from a different company in a different fit, and I don't know. I just want it sorted out. You know, I'm going to have to be wearing these things now for the rest of my life because the surgery has been kiboshed. So they've got to fit. But before I can worry about new stockings, I'm going to have some bandaging to sort the damn foot out. So that's not something I'm really looking forward to. Am I done? Yeah, I think I'm done. As you can imagine, if it carries on with the current heat and humidity, it will only be a week, thankfully. Or maybe even only one session, because I do respond very well, very quickly to the bandaging. But do I really want to spend even one day in high compression bandages? No, not really. But needs must. We're trying to arrange that for the week between Loxwood and Hurstmonceau. So I'm certainly not going to be in bandages whilst I'm away at camp. Righto, that's it. The hair is newly washed, so it's a floofy, untamable mess. Not that it really matters, because 30 seconds outside the door and in this humidity it just dies a damp death. Anyway, I'm off in search of lunch because my stomach is rumbling for 9 on the Richter scale. I will be doing a ball outfit video thing later on, but until then, take care of yourselves and I will see you soon. Bye.